Say Libra was something of a lit a bit of a fire. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for a couple decades. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for couple decades.
What about Squawk? Meta is now in talks with a number of crypto companies as it considers introducing stable coins as a way to manage payouts. This is coming from a new report in Fortune magazine. It comes years after Meta's earlier attempt, you'll remember, at a cryptocurrency blew up. Fortune saying that Meta's recent outreach to crypto companies focuses on the ability of stable coins to pay individuals in different regions without the high fees that would be traditionally associated with other forms of payment. It also says that Meta has now hired a new vice president of product with crypto experience to help move those discussions along. So you remember that whole adventure that they went on, that ultimately Libra, that didn't make it, but this may be the next incarnation.
You remember I got a lot of play when I said this is like the dumbest thing ever. It was centralized. Compared to Bitcoin, there was nothing Libra had to offer. I said it the day it was announced, and nothing did come up.
How China's position going into these talks. Bonawyn had mentioned the export data. We saw the drop to the U.S., but an increase to other parts of the world. Xi Jinping also has the support of the Chinese people this time, and he went from, Chinese people who are griping about the economic situation to people who are actually willing to withstand tariffs and not give in to bending to Trump. And so where do we stand? What's the likelihood that Xi Jinping has a temperament, has inclination to make a deal?
Well, Melissa, I think it's absolutely clear that both sides need a deal. Both sides want a deal, and that includes Xi Jinping. But I think we're way premature to think that that deal will come this weekend. I think this weekend for the Chinese, so let's just start there, is people, process, and issues and goals. By people, the Chinese are going to want to know who they're dealing with across the table. They don't know Scott Bessent at all. They do know Jamison Greer. He was the chief of staff for Bob Lighthizer in round one, the 2018 trade war. So they have a good sense of him, but they don't know Scott Bessent. So they're going to want to figure that out. They're also going to want to get some sort of process in place for how they negotiate. And then finally, and I think this is the most important piece that will come out of this weekend, are what are the issues that are being negotiated? Trump talked over truth about opening up China. We've heard fentanyl. We've heard buying more goods. And so the Chinese are going to want to know, what are we actually negotiating? If it's fentanyl and buying more goods, that's a very easy lift for the Chinese, Melissa. If it's opening up the market, buckle up. This is going to be a very long negotiation if that is what we're trying to use Trump's phrase in terms of not having the cards. Neither side here have the cards in terms of the numbers. And so what you fall back on, unfortunately, is the pain point. Like, who can really outlast the other with respect to pain points? And I think on this score, the Chinese do have a leg up, Tim. They've suffered a great deal from zero COVID period. So we've seen their people prepared to suffer for the national good. I'm not so sure how ready we are. We're looking at 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on who you talk to, before there are going to be some real shortages here in terms of stock on shelves. And so I think ultimately this comes down to, unfortunately, who can last longer in terms of the pain. The numbers don't make sense for either side.
China will, together with Russia, shoulder the responsibilities of world powers and permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. We will uphold the correct view of World War II history, safeguard the authority and status of the United Nations, resolutely defend the rights and interests of China, Russia, and other developing countries, and work together to promote an equal and orderly, the world multipolarization and the inclusive economic globalization.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Meta doubles back on stablecoins. Want to pay out the earnings and stablecoins. And we know what comes with stablecoins, a digital wallet. But don't forget, guys, the Libra Mafia. Remember, Libra is what started all the hype around stablecoins. It wasn't Tether. It wasn't USDC. It was Meta's Libra, and all these corporations signed up for it. Don't forget, guys, you have to remember. And then what came out of Libra, the developers ended up creating Aptos and Sui blockchain, the Libra Mafia. And only we are going to know that because we've been here from the beginning. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Trump to meet with China. And guys, don't forget, they're doing it on the weekend. We know it always happens on the weekend. These geopolitical events, and it's going to set up the tone for the rest of the week for the markets, whether we go up or go down. We will see what type of narrative they try to spin. But the Chinese love China, and they can take the pain. We know if the U.S. shelves start to empty, U.S. citizens are going to turn on Trump. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Russia's Victory Day Parade, China and Russia talking about their partnership. And of course, they're moving away from the West and that dollar. China is moving the goods that would have came inside the United States to the emerging markets. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Scott Besson says in August, we'll be running out of money. Yes, guys, we're back at that again. And this probably will be the only savior for markets. Now, of course, we have the Trump tax cuts, but we know the Republicans and Democrats are going to play the Hegelian dialectic, so it probably gets kicked down the road. But if we do get the tax cuts and then on top of it, approve the spending bill, we'll be okay for a little while. But don't forget, guys, we know Japan has to make a move, and then on top of it, we have to refinance close to $10 trillion towards the end of this year. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now we have Bitcoin, and crypto is slowly being integrated with the legacy market to push this digital global economy on blockchain. And this is a plan that moves in phases. We clearly see what's going on, but of course the sheep stay distracted on things that don't matter. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And what do we have now? American supply chain on attack. But we really know that China is moving these goods to the emerging markets. And they want their supply chain on blockchain. You will always know exactly where an item is from. And if anyone steals anything, you know who stole it. But remember, we're in a fragmented world. They have to break up this whole economy. And the fix, of course, is technology. These robots, algorithms, and drones. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Secretary Scott Besson to Congress just within the past couple of minutes. In it, the Treasury Secretary is saying after reviewing receipts from the recent April tax filing season, there is a reasonable probability that the federal government's cash and extraordinary measures will be exhausted in August while Congress is scheduled to be in recess. Therefore, he writes, I respectfully urge Congress to increase or suspend the debt limit by mid-July before its scheduled break to protect the full faith and credit of the United States. And that sets up an interesting situation, Mike, as they move on Capitol Hill to pass this enormous tax cut bill. Also now in the mix is going to have to be a hike or elimination of the debt ceiling. So that's something else for Congress to pay attention.
You know, dollar cost average compound over time. You don't want to call a cycle. This is an exciting time. I think there's a lot happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem between the plethora of public companies. So you saw Tether and Cantor and SoftBank announce 21 Capital. BTC Inc. Also announced a new public Bitcoin holding company. The number of Solana-based strategy companies that are in the public markets now. So I think keep it simple. Buy yourself some Bitcoin, buy yourself some ETH and tier one alts like Solana, AVAX, and then buy out a long tail of crypto assets. And I think I'm going to stop. I'll pause there.
Why do you think Bitcoin has been so strong and continues to be kind of a leading indicator for what's going on with the risk, even while some of the riskier parts of crypto themselves don't enjoy the same kind of upside?
Bitcoin has always been a leading indicator of where risk assets will go. So this is generally a positive skewed market for Bitcoin. I think specifically to Bitcoin, what's happening is where's the buying coming from? And so again, you have these publicly listed entities that are consistent buyers of Bitcoin. You have one of the most profitable companies in the world, Tether, that continues to use profits to buy Bitcoin. Tether is what the insurance business was for asset management. It's becoming one of the largest balance sheets out there. You have states, so New Hampshire, Arizona, potentially Oregon, who are now adopting digital asset holding frameworks that are going into law. You have sovereign states. I was in Dubai last week. The UAE, alongside many other nations, are buying Bitcoin as a reserve asset. So you have demand coming from there, and then where do you see supply consolidating?
Very similar to gold, I was going to say, where we see kind of this huge
Correct.
institutional and kind of central bank buying that's been a big part of the story. Does that keep going, though, or does that run out at some point?
Digital and physical gold have worked quite well. So I think the Swiss are doing well between the franc and gold. That's been a good trade for everybody and Bitcoin all around. So I think that trade should continue. I mean, it's all momentum oriented. So as long as there's more adoption, more establishment of these as reserves, the other side of it is the supply. So you're seeing investment banks like Cantor Fitzgerald, you're seeing Coinbase and others that are now running large-scale Bitcoin lending platforms. And so when Bitcoin becomes financeable, Bitcoin becomes a liquid asset you can hold. So basically, not liquid in terms of trading, but you post your Bitcoin as collateral and you can borrow dollars, then go out and buy more Bitcoin or buy other assets. That sinks supply. It creates a supply sink that didn't have that type of size previously. And so that, alongside the stablecoin adoption, is off the charts. So the banking system of crypto, the on-chain banking world, is coming together between stablecoins, on-chain treasuries, tokenized assets, on-chain finance. That is the foundation for our banking system. And so we already have dollars in banks in the traditional fiat world, and that allows us to go build applications, build stores. We now have that foundation in crypto, and we're on the cusp of the on-chain banking.
CNBC investigation revealing how criminal gangs in foreign countries are exploiting the very technology meant to protect the U.S. supply chain. They're targeting companies with cyber attacks, crippling freight, and stealing fortunes in cargo at the same time. Here's Courtney Reagan with End of the Road.
America's supply chain under attack. Thieves brazenly breaking into a truck. A hooded criminal loading stolen items through a hole in a warehouse door. Flash mobs hitting trains. It's grand theft cargo.
As I say, that's the kind of the Jason Bourne aspect of what we do. We do use a lot of technology to provide the outcome we're looking for.
At Overhaul, a supply chain security company, employees in Austin and Mexico City are tracking a truck that just left Texas headed to New York.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe
This technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming, while everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks, and while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.